We live in an era where if you can dream it, you can put it on screen. We take CGI, green screens, and motion capture for granted. But before ILM, before Vector Digital, before computers, there was just a guy in France with an amazing mustache, a background in stage magic, and a modified camera that kept jamming. His name was Georges Méliès, and he is the reason movies learned how to dream. Today, we are looking at the rise, the tragic fall, and the incredible resurrection of the first cinemagician. To understand Méliès, you have to understand that he wasn't a filmmaker because that job didn't exist yet. He was an illusionist. By 1895, Méliès owned the famous theatre Robert Houdin in Paris. He spent his days building elaborate mechanical automations and performing stage illusions. He was obsessed with the impossible. Then came the day everything changed. Méliès was invited to a private demonstration by the Lumière brothers. They unveiled the cinematograph and showcased the arrival of a train at La Ciotat station. The audience famously panicked because they thought a train was actually driving into the room. The Lumières saw their invention as a scientific novelty, a way to document reality. But Méliès the magician, he was something else entirely. He saw the ultimate magic wand. He immediately offered to buy one. The Lumières said no. They basically told him, this thing has no commercial future. Méliès somehow got his hands on a similar projector from England and modified it into a camera. At first, he just copied the Lumières, filming street scenes. But then, a fortunate accident changed cinema forever. Legend has it that in 1896, Méliès was filming the traffic at the opera. His camera jammed for a few seconds. He fixed it and kept cranking. When he developed the film later, he saw a miracle. A bus seemed to instantly transform into a horse. Women turned into men. It happened because the film stopped recording, but real life kept moving. Reality had been edited. This was the birth of stop trick or substitution splice. This changed everything. Méliès realized film didn't have to obey the laws of physics. He began inventing the grammar of special effects, multiple exposures, time-lapse, dissolves, and hand-painted color. To house his ambitions, he built the world's first movie studio in Montreal. It was basically a massive greenhouse, using natural sunlight to illuminate his elaborate, hand-painted sets. Between 1896 and 1930, he directed over 500 films. They weren't documentaries, they were fantasies, science fiction, and horror comedies. And in 1902, he made his masterpiece, A Trip to the Moon. It was an international sensation. It was arguably the first narrative sci-fi film, the first blockbuster, and proof that cinema was an art form distinct from theatre. If his life was a Hollywood movie, this is where it would end on a high note. But real history is messier. Méliès was a brilliant artist, but a terrible businessman. His films were wildly popular, which meant they were rapidly pirated, especially in America, by Thomas Edison's company. Yes, the same guy that you read in your books. Méliès barely made anything on his films outside of France. Furthermore, the industry was changing. By 1910, audiences wanted realistic dramas shot on location, not stage-bound fantasies. Méliès refused to adapt. He was still making film theatre, while others were making cinema. Then came World War I. The studio was shut down. The army confiscated his beloved greenhouse studio to use as a hospital for wounded soldiers. Bankrupt and heartbroken, Méliès did something unthinkable. In a fit of despair, unable to pay for storage, he burned hundreds of his original negatives in his garden. The man who took the world to the moon ended up running a candy store at a train station in Paris. He worked there for years, totally anonymous. His contributions forgotten. But magic has a way of returning. In the late 1920s, a new generation of film journalists began hunting down the pioneers of cinema. They found Méliès at his store. They were shocked he was still alive. His rediscovery led to a massive gala in his honor in 1929. The audience gave him a standing ovation that seemed to last forever. He was awarded the Legion of Honor. He spent his final years living in a home for veteran film workers, finally respected. Georges Méliès didn't just invent tricks, he invented the idea that film could lie to tell a greater truth. Every time you see a superhero fly or a spaceship jump into hyperspace, you're watching the legacy of the magician from Paris. Georges Méliès, a name that the world will never forget. Thanks for staying with me till the end of this video. If you want to see Méliès' work, many of his surviving films, including A Trip to the Moon, are in the public domain and available right here on YouTube. Go watch them, they're wild. If you like this deep dive into film history, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Visit thescreenlight.com to get your daily dose of information. Let me know in the comments how you find this video.